Teen here. So last week I put this tweet up, and it's basically saying I want real reasons, not the social justice stuff, but real reasons why you are losing faith in the comic book industry, whether it be Marvel or DC or even independent comics. What is it that's making you just really question the hobby anymore? Maybe even want you to walk away. I know some people have decided to give up on Marvel and DC, and some people altogether, they're just here for the drama. Now, me saying the social justice warrior stuff isn't relevant has some people up in arms. I don't care. I really honestly don't, because here's what I'm getting at. If you're arguing morality with an atheist and you use the Bible, it's not going to help. They don't believe in God, therefore nothing God has to say will affect them. So if you are talking about the social justice war, the identity politics, if you're talking to people who think the identity politics are a good thing, that's not going to help. So we want to talk about other things of more substance. Unfortunately, there were some really good messages that still included that in there that I can't use, and I will be skipping over. But let's go on. We're going to see what you guys had to say. And Professor Pixel right away. I love this guy, by the way. It says, I agree with what others are saying. Hold on. I want to make sure that, that I've got everything. I also agree with what others are saying. $4 for a run-of-the-mill issue. That's ridiculous to expect from the people when you release so many damn titles a month. Either cut back the titles and make every issue worth it, or cut the prices down. That's a very good point right here, you know. I mean, because he's hitting two things right here. Too high and too Captain Frugal. Lack of respect for the characters. Heroes are written heroic. Continuous disrespect for continuity. Absolutely agree with this. Once again, I've been touting the fact that Tom King is in, well, any character, and a lot of writers, a lot of characters these days have been deconstructed to the point where there's no character left. And what happens is you'll get, say, one writer come on saying, well, we're going to deconstruct everything you know about character A. And then after they're done with their 6-issue run, here comes another writer and they say, well, we're going to deconstruct. Well, we've already had the deconstruction. There's no construction here. So we're losing our characters. Senior Dead Guy, $4 per comic really adds up per week, not including specials and new number ones. I wouldn't really mind. But other than a few exceptions, the art and writing on most comics are average as best. And this is something we're hearing as well a lot. Marvel's seeming contempt for continuity and being dismissive of anything their past that does not fit their present. DC has made a string of terrible business decisions in the last year. Well, actually the last 80. And also doesn't seem to care about continuity. And that's something else. They, definitely since New 52, they don't know what they are anymore. That's my opinion anyway. But there you go. So we have Mr. E saying their continuity is a damn mess. I love these characters because each story had a meaningful impact in the life of the characters. Things mattered. Now nothing matters, right? Writers simply pick parts of characters' past, even if it no longer makes sense to the continuity. It's impossible to follow, and you can't really understand which events are canon for which characters. For example, in an issue of Young Justice, Stephanie mentions her time as Robin, even though this version of Stephanie has only ever been spoiler, and she doesn't remember the other timeline. Also, the utter destruction of character development for the sake of bringing characters back or bringing in new creative teams. By the way, that's an excellent answer, Mr. E. If you guys haven't been checking out his channel, please do so. He's been doing a series of videos on what's wrong with the comic. Wayne says, okay, with those constraints in mind, it is the constant gimmicks, relaunches, no love, respect for, knowledge of the characters, series, lack of technical skill and ability from editing on, and a practice I've disliked seemingly forever, a great cover with poor interior art. I'm going to point to Shuri. If you've ever actually read the book Shuri, read it, it's a good book. The covers were beautiful. The interior art was crap. It really was. Here's something I would say. And this is, really, guys, I should have said this at the beginning. Share this video with every publisher you know. Share this video with anybody who is the head of anything. So maybe they will actually pay attention and listen. But here's what I would say. Jim Lee, we know, is a great artist. And this is back when the artists were rock stars. And I understand sometimes art changes, the what's popular changes. But if it can't stand up to the artists of the past, sorry, why bother getting new ones? Seriously. It's ugly. It's an ugly book to look at, but it's a very well-written book. And it's buried under that. Okay, so JC's just agreeing here. Most stories are bad, no respect for the characters or readers. Now, I would love it if people were a little bit more, I guess, what am I trying to say? Specific with the most stories are bad. No respect for characters or readers, writers writing themselves in politics. Absolutely. I've said this many, many times. This is almost a social justice thing, but I've said this many, many times. Instead of finding the voice of the character, they put their own voice into the character. Let's see. Mostly it's just the price at this point, says Unranked Chevron. I'm losing interest in comics slowly, completely. It's like becoming a chore, says Necromentia Chrononaut. It feels like the joy has been sucked out of the industry partially. Let's see. And I said, okay, I've already responded to this one. I said, this is sad because I know there are good books out there. I do the Marvel versus DC reviews. I know there are good Marvel. I know there are good DC. I started to do the independent comic books for BitChute, where I'll just review a whole bunch of independent comic books. There's good books out there. And it's sad that this is not an uncommon opinion right here. And it's draining when you try to say, hey, look, guys, there's a problem here. And nobody in the publishing, whether it's Tom Brevoort or Dan Didio or anybody, nobody wants to listen. They just want to call you Nazi because you don't agree with them. Just some guy says, too many events, giving one writer too many books. Brian Michael Bendis. Constant relaunches, constant retcon, short creative team runs, no respect for promotion artists. Don't know if I replied to this one. Jack Bandit replied to that saying, all that plus a lack of focus on plot and strong external conflicts, story arcs that are stretched longer than they need to be, War of Realms, writers injecting too much of themselves into characters, putting their own voice instead of finding the voice. Bad editing is a massive problem in the big two, says Larry Bernard. Okay, there's something that's being brought up also, constant relaunches and constant retcon. One thing I think that this is missing is the collectability. You know, if it's all only in 6-issue storylines, if it all is supposed to be with a trade paperback, why are we even bothering? You know, when we had the collectability, when everybody wanted to create a huge run of the Avengers, I know we've got two people, Captain Cummings and Captain Frugal, both were trying to put together runs of Avengers. I myself, when I was younger, I was putting together the X-Men because, you know, Chris Claremont, right? And you just had to get them all. Now, do you really feel that? Do you feel that way? Because if they're not interested in putting out a run of, let's say, Captain Marvel, more than 6 issues at a time, why should you? And yes, I know there was at least one run that was longer than that. Alrighty, anyway, let's move on here. Mainly just really bad decisions made by both companies, like Bendis on Superman. It just doesn't make sense, especially when Tomasi was being so awesome at it. I don't understand that either. Let's see. Now, this is one of those where thinking critical, I really like what he wrote, but he ended up doing the SJW stuff, and I'm going to skip over it, which is too bad. Bendis growing sphere of influence, dark direction for DCU. Let's see. Constant pricing and variant cover schemes, endless reboots, pointless events, CB hyping up lame, boring news. Yeah, but that's personal. I mean, come on. Some people might have liked it. Some people might not. That's, yeah. Fake milestone issues. Yo, that's definitely it. Yes. DC's 1000. Action Comics 1000. Yeah, now we have Marvel 1000. Sorry, guys. When you canceled Detective Comics, when you canceled Action Comics and started them back at 1, this is not Action Comics 1000. This is not Detective Comics 1000. It is Detective Comics Volume 4, whatever number it is. Congratulations, Dan Didio. You fucked that up. That's my one per video. Let's see. That Amazing Spider-Man 25 milestone, though, that Absolute Carnage event. Okay. Let's see. The writers and artists, for the most part, says JC. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting reading off the names. I apologize, guys. JC the Creature remembers Stan Lee. The writers and artists, for the most part, aren't very talented at all. There are some titles that are decent, but for the most part, people are turning well-known characters and completely changing them without any of their normalcy from before. That's my issue with creators today. That sounds more like what we were talking about. Putting their own voice in rather than finding the voice of the character. There's a reply here. Let's see. They put substandard talent on books that have built-in sales pitch. Assume that means fans like them and burn them out on too many properties that implode. Also, and he's mentioning Tom King straight up, starts strong and putters out. He needs help going the distance. I think a lot of people are feeling this with the Batman. And I think he really shot himself in the foot with the wedding. And it's not just him. Obviously, somebody, Dan Didio, somebody said, you know what? That's the way we want to go. Comic Boom. Now, this will be interesting. Comic Boom is generally a very positive person. Like me, he loves comic books. If you haven't checked his YouTube channel out, definitely do that as well. Really cool guy. I'm a lifelong comic book addict. If I haven't stopped collecting yet, I never will. Me too, dude. Absolutely. The reason why I'm doing a video like this is because I love comics. I love Marvel. I love DC. I love some independents as well. Let's see. The real question for me is, what do Marvel or DC have to do to finally make me stop collecting? Bottom line is that for everything they do wrong, they do something right, and I focus on the right. By all means, what do they do wrong and what do they do right? This right here, this video, and I respect what he's saying. I like what he's saying. I like Comic Boom, and once again, you should definitely check out his channel. He's one of the comic book channels that actually talk about comic books. But the reason this is because I've had a lot of messages. People are just walking away, especially when I did the best and worst of 2019, the Spirit Awards and the Gabby Awards. I had a lot of people just write in, well, I can't really vote. I stopped reading comics. One, you're obviously interested in them because you're on a comic book channel, unless you're all about the drama, and then by God, stop. What are you doing to your life where you're getting off, and I don't mean that in a bizarre sexual way, but you're finding some sort of comfort, not in the love of the medium, but in the drama surrounding it? Think about that lifestyle you're trying to build for yourself. Oh my gosh. Oh, Switch, my man. Switchpoint says, I don't feel acknowledged as a customer, and I feel my concerns of character and story not feeling proper to the characters or setting are ignored. Also, the cost to delivery feels too much of an asking cost. I also feel like I'm no longer the target audience, so I left. And that, of course, has been vocalized. Some people have just flat out said, these comics aren't for you, which is stupid. These comics should be for everybody. When I was a kid, they put out stuff like Captain Carrot and the Amazing Zoo Crew. Okay, well, people who are older could read it because there were jokes that would be for them. People younger who could read it, myself, I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time, could read it because, hey, funny animal superheroes. You know, it should be for everybody. But they're literally shrinking their market by saying, I don't want to sell to you. That's dumb. Let's see. He continues to say, there is also the concerns that they have been trying to make the comics too much like the movies, and I'm not a fan of the movie's tone in general. This kills the feel I enjoyed, which was more fantastical comics in favor of more movie tones with quips and downplayed characters. That's a good point. Grim Tom is agreeing with him, saying that's an excellent point. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and after the movie came out, they pretty much just rebooted the comic characters to look and act just like the movie versions, and I hated that. Well, you know what I don't like? I don't like talking Groot. They have Groot walking around being like a philosopher now. I'm like, no, I am Groot. That's all we need. That is all we need. Howler Mouse. You guys want to know somebody who actually inspired me, or one of the people who inspired me to do this? Howler Mouse, ladies and gentlemen. Check out his YouTube channel as well. Clueless talent who don't understand storytelling through art. The denial of political propaganda, marketing by attacking readers, creators' deplorable behavior on social. Now that we're getting into that, and I agree, but I'm trying to stay on what's on the page, dude. Seriously. But I agree that's turned off a lot of people. Actual collectors buy, meet, and talk through back issues and cons. That's where the fun is. And that's one of the things I said in one of my first videos, that the conventions were a place of sanctuary for the comic book nerd. Back before the Iron Man movie, before it was as accepted as it is, before basically our children grew up into collectors, we were the ones that were getting bullied. We were the ones that were getting called nerds and geeks, and this was unacceptable. You'll never be laid. You're living in a parent's basement and all that kind of stuff. But I always said the convention is your sanctuary. Everybody treats you nice. It doesn't matter black, white, red, green, handicapped, able, whatever you are, gay, straight. Nobody cared. You were a comic book fan. Rick, he's done with the X-Men because countless reboots. And there's one more coming, Rick. One more. And in my opinion, says Larry Bernard, reboots correlate to lack of editorial management. Yeah, I agree. That's a good point there. Let's see. Shinobi, what up? By the way, Shinobi drew my profile that I use on Twitter here. I really like that. Bad character representation, especially X-Men, consistent trolling of readers, and all of those events. I get more excitement for my GG books I've read and rags. There you go. And that's a free advertisement for rags. Actually, I read the first book. I did a review of it. Not bad. There are other factors involved, but you narrowed it down to Marvel and DC. No, actually, I said you could open it up to independents. But the problem with saying anything about independents, why they're too political, it's their character. You know, they're not playing around with Spider-Man and Batman. They're not ruining the characters that at this point belong to the world. They're creating their own characters. And by creating their own characters, whatever voice they put into it, that's that. That's the voice. So independents saying stuff like that is not as bad. Even Maneaters, for as much as I don't like that book, for the fact that I laugh at it because it was created out of hatred, it's her book. So whatever the characters say, that is proper to those characters. That's, so that's why I think independents, it should get a little bit of a pass based on that, because they are literally going for the people who will buy those specific books. So blah freaking blah says, agree with others here. It's damn near impossible to get invested in any character or story when at their whim they retcon or undo or straight reboot what's already been established. They never learned from Brand New Day or Captain America was always a Nazi. Yeah. Marvelous Lie. Iceman was always gay. That rose somehow. Yeah, I know. That was horrible. Yeah, that was not a good way to do it. Emerald Centaurian, how you doing, sir? Saying, for me, what killed it was the delays in the story. They don't care to meet deadlines because they are writing for the trades. Doom Clock, anybody? Doomsday Clock is an amazing thing to me because there's no... It's like the Tick. Ben Inland used to write the Tick this way. It's like, I'm going to have the next issue out in my lifetime. And we would go, oh man, I can't wait. But when it came out, oh gosh, I got to read this. And Doomsday Clock is exactly the same way. I'm amazed when I see the numbers on that book. There you go, gang. That's part 1. Part 2 is going to end up on BitChute, and 3 will be tomorrow, and 4 will also be on BitChute tomorrow. So I had to break it down because it ended up being over an hour when I first recorded this. I really had fun with this. You guys just nailed it. So what did you think? What did you think about what was said? What do you think about my reply to what was said? Let me know in the comments below. And if you do like this video or any of the videos that I do produce here, by all means, click like, share. That helps out with the algorithm. We're all slaves to the YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. Make sure those notifications are on for YouTube and ring that bell. Also, if you would like to help support the channel, go on over to Patreon or to Ko-Fi, and you could commission a video in any of the categories I do videos on. It's a lot of fun. Had more than a couple do some commissions already, and that was really interesting. I did one for the boys just recently. I never read the book before, but I did a comic book origins. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun looking into some new stuff. So I would like to thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.